Hi, it's just me and Michelle with my iPod problem. Except this one isn't really a problem in its current state. I'm very happy with this. I picked it up about a month ago for, I think, about 40 quid, something like that. More than I normally pay for an iPod, to be honest with you. But it is a nicer one than the usual 5th gen that I tend to go for. I have a few of these, but not that many. Obviously, it's got its hard metal case. It is 120 gigabyte, which, if you look at the Yukio guide, characterises it as a 6.5 gen. If you want there are some 160 gigabyte ones which are always what modern day experts call 7th gen. But this is a nice 6.5 in reasonable condition. Obviously the usual wear and tear to the back, but the front looks pretty nice. This was advertised as, I think the wording in the advert was, it hasn't got a charger or any battery in. Now, I would say unless you've been inside it, you wouldn't know whether it's got a battery in, and I'm fairly sure nobody had been inside this. I'm certainly sure the person who sold it hadn't been inside it. Obviously not tested it because they haven't got a charger, which I tend to believe. The something about the use of the phrase hasn't got a charger seemed to me to indicate that they haven't got a charger. I don't know, it's just you take people as you find them. The thing that obviously you see a lot of is untested or not tested, which you know is people saying, I have tested it and it doesn't work, but they don't want to admit it. So watch out for those. But this seller was not really an iPod expert, which is great because it didn't bang on about its Wolfson DAC or any such similar fluff, really. He just sold it as it was without any cabling, but that's not a problem to me. Might put Rockbox on this. The beauty of it though is it, oh, by the way, apologies for background noise of the bins are being collected, so there's a bin wagon in the background. There is content on here, which is great. I love an iPod with content in. There's some Beatles stuff there. In fact, I think if we go from music into cover flow, we've got almost a Beatles discography. Bit of South Park though, which is more on later. You've got Hard Day's Night, Abbey Road, Beatles for Sale, Help, Let It Be, most of which have got the cover art successfully attached. Magical Mystery Tour, the Past Masters album, and that's the red one, isn't it? Revolver's there, Rubber Soul's there, Sergeant Pepper is there, and the White Album's there, with the Beatles is there. All the Beatles content you might want, including some you might not want, like Yellow Submarine. But even better than the musical content, and there's loads of stuff. There's like you saw a bit of Adele there. There she is. Hey, right on cue, almost as if I'd organised it. I hadn't, of course. That's just complete random chance. When I come down to videos, and particularly movies, this was when I absolutely went ape with happiness because there's so much stuff. Just from the top, there's loads of, in fact, all I think the 14 episodes of Fawlty Towers, 2 seasons, was it 14 episodes? Something like 2 seasons anyway. All the Fawlty Towers is there. 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Goodfellas, Law Abiding Citizen, Life of Brian, Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Star Wars 1. Let's go to Star Wars 4 because that's the one that I recognise and know as the first Star Wars movie. I remember a time when that was the only Star Wars movie because I'm old. I will not play much of it. You can't hear it. But if I press that, I'm hoping, there we go. I watched a bit of this in the house earlier. Up to this point, in fact. As I say, I remember when it came out, both my younger brothers went to see it and I didn't for some reason. But it's visually spectacular, isn't it? And having just watched the opening of it, the kind of ridiculous lack of any kind of protection for the ship when the stormtroopers dock on it, and then the kind of cowboy western shootout around the door, with loads of people flying into their death throes, and then the hugely intimidating figure of Dave Prowse, who in the UK used to do the Green Cross Code adverts. Obviously, his lilting Bristol charms weren't deemed suitable for a mass audience, so he was voiced by, admittedly, the very good James Earl Jones. Carrie Fisher's there sending her a message, "Help us, Obi-Wan, you're our only hope." I'm probably going to go back and watch that. Now, I've just been to Budapest for a week, which was fantastic. But one of the drawbacks of being Budapest for a week was that on the hotel television, there was one single English-speaking channel. My wife's been learning a bit of Hungarian, but not enough to cope with a Hungarian game show. We watched about an hour. It felt like longer, but it must have been an hour of Sky News talking about Prince Andrew. He was a prince then. He's had his prince taken off him subsequently. The other word that rhymes with prince, or sounds like prince, or at least utilises the final three letters of the word prince with an additional NO floating about near the front. He's still entitled to that, but it looks like he's been finally being rooted out by the British monarchy before he brings a whole lot of them down, which in my view won't be a terrible thing, but there you go, let's not get into that. The New Hope, which I had on there, is a good test of the settings. Let's just have a look at settings, because I will talk about my Budapest hotel. Now is probably a good time to introduce you to this. First of all, I took this to Budapest, so I've got a small screen. It's not great, but it's like you can watch all those films. It's better than watching Hungarian game shows. But this, he says, pointing something into camera, 30-pin lead, goes into the end of this AV3 card, yellow, white and red cables, which will go into certainly a lot of TVs that I've got. Well, I haven't got that many TVs, but I've got monitors and stuff. Most monitors will take the yellow, white, and I think that's red. I am colourblind, famously, but that's supposed to be the red one. And even if you've not got sockets for these, you can buy adapters to stick these into a SCART cable. Remember SCART cables, a SCART lead, a SCART adapter? Stick them in there and stick that into your telly. If, again, your telly's got a SCART socket, and not all of them have. It's a massive thing, this, but I didn't actually take this abroad. I've only just bought it since. But all sorts of possibilities open up to you for getting maximum value out of this. So really, this is just a shout out for maybe finding a slightly out of the way iPod, somebody doesn't know what they're doing, and finding you've suddenly got all the Godfather films. I've probably got these on DVDs in the house somewhere, but the idea of just putting this in your pocket, being able to watch any of this is just fantastic. Battery life seems to be all right at the moment. I mean, it will probably need a new battery at some point, but you know, the old motto, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, it's fine. It's working fine. I've got a pocket full of movies. I've got some South Park episodes, I believe, which, you know, they're all very good. I just watched that Eat, Pray, Queef one. It's just absolutely hilarious. I know I shouldn't be amused by that kind of stuff at my age, but I was. Just a quick hint on movies settings. As I was about to say, TV signal PL is the UK Europe standard, and there's NTSC, I think, which is American. I just had to adjust the TV screen to widescreen to get all the text at the beginning of the Star Wars film to come on, and obviously you'll need TV out to be on. Subtitles are off. I don't know what the result of putting subtitles on will be, but I will do that because I'm blind, and sometimes I like just to see the words on the screen. But, you know, get yourself something like that, and you've got a whole pocket full of content which will see you through a camping trip or a trip abroad or whatever. I like it so much, I've been banging on for 10 minutes about it. So, oh, does that mean I get extra? No, it doesn't. If you like this kind of stuff, like or subscribe. If you don't, I don't really mind, but I do like the idea that someone else might be watching this sometime. Hopefully you learn something about it. Got a few more videos planned, so look out for them. Love you lots, love your music. I will see you another time. Goodbye.